Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast's back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as the.
And welcome to this Friday edition of Pucks Across Border Daily NHL Betting Preview Show. Daily Monday to Friday, that is. We all need a little rest on the weekends. We got other jobs, other things to do, but we'll be back on Monday. But before that, lots to get into from the NHL last night. 4 games to break down tonight. And it's Friday. It's football playoffs. At the end of the show, after our best bets, we'll talk a little bit of football. See what Andre's feeling. Our resident professional NBA or NFL whisperer will get your takes as the hours tick down. My Birds plus 3 other teams that nobody cares about. Except around here, bro. I don't know if I mentioned this on air. Maybe it was on Gabe's show, but this is Buffalo Bill town, man. Everybody up here loves the Buffalo Bills, so I'm surrounded. But we'll talk about all that a little later on. But before we get to all that and more, Andre, how we feeling on a Friday afternoon, bro? Good to see you.
It's good to see you. It's funny you mentioned that because I'm actually staring at a Buffalo Bills jersey in my closet right now. I own a Stevie Johnson jersey. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Oh,
but I do have a Bills jersey.
That's a deep dive. I love it.
I have a Javid Best Lions jersey too. So yeah, a little random peek into my life. Some of my favorite players, even though they weren't stars. I'm doing well though. Nothing to complain about over here. I do have an interesting tidbit I would like to share with you. Different sport. The building's relevant, though. 2 New York Knicks were named all-star starters yesterday. 2. That has not happened in 50 years. The last time that happened was 1975. On January 14th, 1975, the NBA played that all-star game featuring 2 New York Knicks in the starting lineup. That is the same exact day my dad was born. My dad has never seen an all-star game with multiple Knicks starting. So...
wow.
Good for you. And they're not even the best team in their building right now.
I don't know about that, man. Well, first of all, shout out to your dad. Happy birthday a week and a half ago. And shout out to his first time ever seeing 2 Knicks in an all-star game. Whether or not, we're going to get into that a little bit, whether or not they're the best team in the building or not. Speaking of the New York Rangers, I think that's still a bit of a stretch. But huge win last night. The New York Rangers beating the Flyers 6-1. A really rough first goal that the Rangers allowed, giving Philly the 1-0 lead. That's all they would get. Rangers 6-1 final. Ottawa Senators, gotta give you props here, bro. The Bruins were massive underdogs at home. You took them, if memory serves correctly. And the Bruins not only win, shut out Ottawa. Side note, not really important. I guess it is important, but if memory serves correctly, that is 2 straight games where Ottawa has not scored a goal. I think that's correct. Maybe it's not correct.
Sounds correct. Or maybe it's it's 2 in a row.
Yeah. So not good for the Ottawa Senators. Brady Tkachuk is in a cooler right now. I think no points in 9 games, or definitely no goals in his last 9 games. So we'll see what happens there. On the day where we're talking about how Boston and the Rangers on the outside looking in. We trusted the Canadians and Ottawa, talking about the Blue Jackets, and of course, Boston wins. The Red Wings also win, beating the Canadians, another one that you picked correctly. Detroit winning 4-2 in Detroit against Montreal. The Blue Jackets come out of the gates firing, up 2-0, end up losing 7-4 in a wild game in Carolina. Golden Knights beat the Blues 4-2. Utah beat the Wild 4-0. You get Spurgeon back, you get Kaprizov back, yet you fall 4-0 against Utah at home. The Calgary Flames 3-2 game, finish 5-2, 3-2 game for the most part. Buffalo just has nothing, and Calgary just does what they do: get the lead, choke you out, and call it a day. The Oilers destroy the Canucks 6-2. Not even a contest. Speaking of not even a contest, another one you picked correctly, Anaheim against Pittsburgh. I was feeling good about Pittsburgh, and it wasn't even a game. 5-1. The Ducks win. Capitals beat the Kraken 3-0. And the Nashville Predators, almost the reverse of what we saw the other day. Nashville's up 5-1. Sharks come back. That's 6-5. So what against the Sharks the other night, that was 12 goals, 7-5, 12 goals. This game was 11 goals, just like 28 goals in 2 games between 2 of the worst teams in the league. Just the NHL, man. It's the absolute best. So Andre, hit me, bro, whether it's from last night or something else that you want to talk about. What do you got from last night in the NHL?
I'm going to take a page out of your book. I'm just going to talk about the Eastern Conference playoff race, because the Boston Bruins ignore the points percentage in the games in hand that everybody has on them. Just for a second here, 54 points. They're now third in the Atlantic. They dropped the Lightning down into a top wildcard spot. The Blue Jackets were occupying a wildcard spot. They lost. Didn't get past, but there's 3 teams 1 point back with 1 game in hand now, because the New York Rangers gained on the Senators and Canadians. They're all tied at 52 points, 48 games played. Flyers stuck at 50 through 49 played. Kind of needed a point yesterday to keep up, but they're still in the mix. The Red Wings' huge win over Montreal to keep themselves in the mix. They're at 49 points of 48 games played. It's getting dicey. It's chaotic. I love it. Obviously, I don't expect Boston to hold there, but just, for the fun of it, there's 5 teams separated by 1 point for 2 playoff spots right now. All the teams that needed to win yesterday kind of did, besides Philly. All the teams that needed to lose yesterday, or didn't need to lose yesterday, needed to pick up at least a point. They didn't. Unless you're talking about Boston, who their frauds are going to stay there anyway. So you said it yesterday, it was a very important day, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
A lot of massive games, significant games, and the dust settled, and it got even murkier. So it's going to be a fun one in March and April when we try to figure out who's going to be what. And don't knock the Devils out of this race yet. They might be slipping soon.
Oh, man. Dude, well, it's funny because the Devils, 60 points, they feel like they're calm and cool, like, in there. But, hey, man, I mean, it's funny because I was watching all the games last night, and yesterday, over the last couple of days, kind of facetiously, but somewhat, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Plausible still, was the Predators, right? And how this next 8-game stretch is basically the Predators season. If they have any hope at all of climbing into this playoff race, the next 8 games before 4 Nations is really important. And we were kind of talking about that a little bit. But watching these games go down last night and looking at the scoreboard and the standings, that's really the case for all of these teams. Like, if any of these teams cool off in these next 8 games, or however many games each team has before the 4 Nations, you could be out or you could be in, or at least still like relevant. And I was thinking about this with Ottawa. You know, we've talked about for years now about Ottawa and how they should have been in the playoff by now for a few years. And oh my goodness, sorry, the show's being interrupted, but I gotta show you. Come here, buddy. My son has a lollipop. Just show everybody. Look at this face. Look at these lips. Boston. Oh my goodness gracious. So blue.
That's
All right, go see Mama, okay? Go see Mama. Can you shut the door, please? Shut the door. Sorry, I had to let that interruption happen. Bye, buddy.
You got a Smurf in your house.
Dude, 2 years old, just mowing on candy like it's nobody's business. All right. I'll take the L on that one. Moving on, or staying on. I just really feel like, you know, there's 82 games in the season, and, you know, this is just, especially in the salary cap era and the parity and all of that stuff, every game really does matter. And you have a 2-game stretch here for Ottawa where you can't score a goal, and you, I mean, listen, if Boston gets in and Ottawa doesn't get in, and you're separated by 1 point, this is the game that mattered, right? This is the one. So it's just really interesting. We still feel far away from the playoffs, but these games matter just as much now as they will in the end of March. And it's just really, really, really fascinating to watch. Massive win, like you said, by the Rangers in the Western Conference. Vancouver just doing what they do. Big plus for the Canucks that St. Louis lost. But Utah wins to stay in the mix, and Calgary wins to kind of stretch out that buffer a little bit more. Huge weekend coming up for those teams. Buffalo, stand corrected here. Washington is in Vancouver and Calgary is in Minnesota. So those two games, that feels like a game that the Canucks are going to lose against Washington at home tomorrow night. And if Calgary can find a way to beat the Wild in Minnesota, you're now looking at a 5-point buffer. So that's a huge game tomorrow. If Calgary, by the time the Vancouver game starts against Washington tomorrow night, Calgary and Minnesota will be decided. So if Calgary wins that game tomorrow night, again, I know it's January, but if Calgary wins tomorrow night, that's a must-win game for Vancouver, or this season could be looking more and more in the books.
Vancouver is
disaster.
A disaster. Yes, you just took the word right out of my mouth. It'll be interesting though to see JT Miller. I'm hearing at this point it's not if he's going to be traded, it's when he's going to be traded.
Yeah,
Pedersen might be going to at this point, honestly. And the longer they wait, the less time there is. You would think to salvage what is now a lost season.
Yeah, I think trading Pedersen would be a mistake, and the only reason why I say that is whatever you're going to get for him right now, you'll still get a lot for him. You're not going to get like nothing for him. You are still going to get a lot, but whatever you're going to get for him now is the lowest his value will probably ever be, and definitely has been. And his 8-year deal doesn't start till next season. It's like, this is a classic coach situation, right? Who's been extended for the next 3 seasons and then gets fired before his extension kicks in. That's what would be the case with Pedersen. And I just think he's young, like brand new contract. You got to give him more time to figure it out. JT Miller, you know what he is, both the good and the bad. Really interesting, though, all the teams that are being linked to him. There was this report that I heard yesterday that there was rumors of a Jason Robertson, JT Miller trade in talks from Dallas to Vancouver, which would be so stupid in my opinion. Not that I don't like JT Miller, but trading Jason Robertson, 26-year-old, 26-year-old star goal scorer, is just stupid. But rumors that people now coming out and saying that Jason Robertson's a cancer in the room and Vancouver wants nothing to do with that. And it's like what they have right now is so much better. But then on the other side, everyone in Dallas is saying all these reporters are like, no one's ever heard of this. This guy's the best. Like, we all love him. Like, this is a whole different conversation. And we got 4 games to get to here. We'll wrap this up. But the media sideshow that this has turned into is just unreal. It's gotten to the point where that there is a rift. That there is something there between Pettersson and Miller. And just by watching the games, man, like you see Miller's body language out there. That his time there has come to an end. However, all of the media surrounding this, it's hard to really know how bad this really is because the media just can't get enough of this.
Ooh, it feels like it's at the point where the reporting around it, the rumors around it are worse than the actual problem itself.
Yes.
Was, and ever will be. Whereas, problems happen, you keep it in-house, you can either get through it or, trade it away and make it really go away, send them across the country. That's not really a problem anymore. Now everybody has to address it. Now everybody's hearing about it. Now it's, oh yeah, you guys aren't winning because you're two, you're brothers, but the two of you don't get along. And that's why you're losing. And everybody's laughing at you, everybody's pointing at you, everyone's trying to figure out why. No. They need to, by dragging this out, they've made it worse. I don't think they're dragging it out on purpose. I think they're trying to get just value for what they have. I know they're players and I know they're people, but they're quote unquote assets. At the same time, sometimes you just gotta suck it up and bite the bullet, especially if you're trying to make the playoffs, especially if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup for the first time. Mark, you want to tell me how long it's been since Vancouver won a Stanley Cup? Brady?
It's been
anybody?
Forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't sit on your hands with this. So
it's been either 6,000 years or like 300 million years, depending on your worldview. I don't know. I know that. Well, either way, it's a long time. But the one thing that I will say to wrap this up is that was a really funny joke. I've completely thrown myself off. I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. The one thing just to wrap this up is at this point in time, if I'm Vancouver, of course you don't want to trade JT Miller for nothing. Like, of course you want something. I would be less concerned about value at this point. I think if you're management there, your goaltending's a disaster. Lankinen, he has moments, but he's played so much hockey. Demko is just not like I think we said this at the beginning of the season. I don't think Demko is going to be Demko until next year. He has to stay healthy if they make it to the playoffs, stay healthy through that, have another full summer underneath his belt and come back in training camp. And I think that's the reality of the situation. And I think that was somewhat predictable. We see this with goaltenders all the time. I think, management there, Jim Rutherford, been around the game for forever. Patrick Alvin, like those guys are really smart hockey guys and they know what they have. And I think it's time to just bite the bullet, get them out of there. Like you said, if it's for lesser value, it's for lesser value. You need to be thinking about next year at this point. Now, maybe something will turn around. I don't know. But if the value of the deal is what's holding this up, I think it's time to just forget about that and move on. Speaking of moving on, let's move on to our to the NHL games. There's games on the ice, believe it or not. Shout out to the Futon Bets. We met this guy yesterday or a couple days ago. He is back. What's going on, man? Thank you once again for joining us. And let's get into the 4 games on the ice tonight, starting with Vegas, Dallas. Vegas plus 118 on the money line in Dallas. Dallas minus 150. It was minus 142. It's now minus 150. Vegas is now plus 125. Minus 1.5 for the Stars. Plus 176. Plus 1.5 for Vegas. Minus 220. The over is 5.5 at minus 128. And the under is plus 104. What do you got, bro? Vegas, Dallas in Dallas. This should be this is the game of the night. I don't think there's even a question about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a question about it either. I feel like, though, and this isn't true, it just feels like I feel like I've talked about Vegas so much recently. And I feel like none of it's been good. But they did pick up a win yesterday on the road. Even though I think we both picked against them. I know the Blues were my best bet.
We did.
They let me down. That's why I hate St. Louis forever and always. But they did what they needed to do. They got 2 points, kind of regained their footing because they had lost 4 in a row, 2 of them to firmly bad teams. That being said, they're going to Dallas now. It's the second half of a back-to-back. I know this Stars team hasn't been the best. The esteemed Dallas Stars beat reporter for the Hockey Writers, know all about that. This Stars team lost to Vegas 3-2 in December. That was the first time they had played since last postseason, that amazing 7-game series. And Dallas and the Stars were playing better back then. Now you're looking at the Stars team. They've lost 4-6. They've been great at home for most of this year. They just lost 2-1 at home. They lost 3-1 at home a few games before that to Montreal. They went to OT with Utah, January 4th at home. Not exactly playing like the dominant team they are, especially in American Airlines Center recently. Now, they beat the Red Wings 4-1, but like we both said, they got outplayed in that one. This is a really tricky game. I'm going to take the Stars minus 145. I think I might bump it up a little bit to that 60-minute line, but there's not a lot of trust in either of these teams right now. The thing that intrigues me the most about this game, and it's mostly because of the way Vegas has been playing lately in particular, is the over. There's been a lot of high-scoring Golden Knights games in the past week and change. Their defense is probably just not going to have the legs to keep up with the Stars tonight. I'm seeing it at 5.5, and I'm taking that over 5.5.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So full disclosure, I'm working on a piece right now for the Hockey Writers that will come out tomorrow talking about why I know you're going to go against this because you're a Colorado guy, but I think this is the conference final that we deserve. Vegas and Dallas. If the standings stay the way they are currently, the only way that they would play in the playoffs is if it was in the conference final. If they both are in the top 3 of their respective divisions. So I guess that's not, I think that's true. Maybe not technically true anyway, whatever.
If they're both top 3, the only way they'll make the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah. Especially if the number 1 seed of the Central wins and Dallas wins, then they would play and blah, blah, blah. These two teams have a lot of history, and I think that would be a really good matchup. So That being said, I really pray that this is a classic game and a really good game and not a blowout, because then my piece, I think, would have a little bit less juice to it. So I'm praying that comes through for me tonight. It's interesting you're taking the over, because I actually really like the under in this one. Aiden Hill didn't play last night. He's playing tonight. Jake Ottinger is playing tonight. I think both of these teams, like you perfectly laid out, really need a bounce back performance and a really strong performance. And so to me, I know Vegas won last night, but second half of a back-to-back, and they haven't been playing very well lately. So I really do feel like both of these teams need to play tight defensive hockey. I really like the under. The Futon Bets is talking about over 5.5 goals in the first 10 minutes. I can get on board with that. I do think, and that would certainly play into what Andre is talking about. I really do like the under in this game. I really think it's going to be a really close, tight checking hockey game. And so I'm taking the over rather than a side. I do think Dallas wins better on home ice, back-to-back for Vegas. I do think Dallas wins, but my favorite bet is the under. And again, Futon Bet's talking about a booster on DK to get to minus 109. I need to get in on that. Futon Bet's also talking about Rope Hintz over 1.5 shots on goal. Rope Hintz has been back and hasn't been too productive since being back. So I can see tonight him stepping it up and getting back on the horse, the proverbial horse. Moving on to Philly in Long Island to take on the Islanders. New York Islanders minus 152. Minus 152. Do we really need to talk about this? That this team shouldn't be favored by this much against anybody? I don't care if they're at home, and I don't care if Philly played last night. This is so stupid. Philly plus 126 on the road. Minus 1.5 is plus 168. Plus 1.5 is minus 210 for Philly. The over is 5.5 at minus 122, and the under is plus 100. I'll just get this out of the way, plain and simple. No props, nothing crazy for me. Philly got trounced last night against the Rangers 6-1, as we talked about. They're in Long Island, and I know the Islanders at home, they're better, blah, blah, blah. I think Philly bounces back with a strong performance. I think John Tortorella legitimately lit a fire. Like, I think he set all of their hockey bags on fire last night, and I think that's enough to get their attention. I think Philly wins this game. I'm taking the plus 126. And furthermore, they haven't allowed a lot of goals like they did to the Rangers. Like, that game last night was an anomaly based on how Philly's been playing, in my opinion. So I like Philly tonight. What do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Defensively, they hadn't had a game like that in a very long time. They ran into a team that's kind of buzzing right now. It happens. But this is going to suck. I'm very glad the Islanders played the Sharks on a Saturday, because this is only going to be the second time in a row I'm taking them to win instead of the third. They are not better at home. I want that out the way very clear. And as Matt Barzal said just a few days ago, nobody shows up. There's nobody there. There's no home ice advantage. What they do have, though, consecutive wins. They've got a little bit of momentum internally. They're well rested because they haven't played since Monday when they beat the Jackets 3-1. They just saw this Flyers team last Thursday, lost 3-5. They know they're better than that. And the fresher legs on top of that. Philly, I know they didn't have to travel per se, but Philly did play yesterday. Philly played a really rough game yesterday. I think they're going to be better. I think it's going to be tighter. I'm not going to take the puck line like I did when the Islanders played the Jackets on Monday, but I think they're going to win this game. I think I'm going to take the 60-minute line. I don't want to talk about this anymore. So Islanders 60-minute line. Let's move on.
Two disagreements for us right off the bat. This is very unlike us. I don't know. I don't like the vibe. Tampa Bay in Chicago, third game of the night. Minus 245 are the Blue Jackets on the road. Plus 198 are the Blackhawks at home. What did I just say? Minus 245 are the Lightning. Did I say Lightning? I don't know.
I heard
Did
Blue
I?
Jackets. I think I heard.
Yeah, I think I did say Blue Jackets. Are the Lightning on the road plus 198 are the Blackhawks at home? Minus 1.5 for Tampa is plus 102. Plus 1.5 are the Blackhawks. I'm messing up this game. Minus 124. The over 6.5 is minus 114, and the under is minus 106. What do you got?
Man, I don't know. The Lightning, they're a different team every week. What I will say, though,
I know.
Blackhawks, they've played 7 games at home in 2025. Only 2 of them were multi-goal losses. They actually won 3 of them. Lost in OT last time on Monday against Carolina. And then, the 1-goal loss to Edmonton. So they've been holding their own on home ice. That plus 1.5, pretty good odds for them. You look at what Tampa's done. They've lost 3 in a row on the road. You look at them on the road this season, 10-12-2. Not exactly playing their best right now. I hate doing this, but it's kind of worked lately, actually. So maybe I shouldn't hate doing it as much. I'm going to take Chicago plus 1.5.
I'm right there with you. We agree. It took a little longer than usual, but we do agree. I'm taking Chicago plus 1.5 as well. I also had my eye on your favorite bet from last year, Chicago first goal scored by the Chicago Blackhawks. I'll just say this. You said it. Tampa Bay, different team every week. Don't know what this team is right now. Chicago, on the road, Chicago's abysmal. 5-15-3, but at home, they're absolute rock stars. 10-13-1, just incredible at home. But that 10-13-1 is almost the exact same road record for Tampa, which shocked me when I looked at that earlier today. 10-12-2 are the Lightning on the road. I'm taking plus 1.5 as well. I really like that bet. And we'll see what happens with that. Moving on to Utah in Winnipeg. And I just want to quickly, we got to wrap this up, but I just want to quickly say this. 740 are the first 2 games. 8-10 are the last 2 games. I know that I congratulated the NHL on their stagger yesterday, but I take it back. Did you know that there was zero times when one period started and another period wasn't also like, dude, there was a time, whatever it was, 6 games or 7 games that like started it off, or 5 or 6 games or whatever. There was a time when all of those games were in the second intermission, and every 8:00 game was in the first intermission, that there was no hockey on at all. They're all in intermissions. Enough of that. I think tonight will be different considering they're all half-hour staggered. So hopefully that's different. That was so frustrating. But hey, who am I? Once again, who am I? Utah Hockey Club plus 176 in Winnipeg. Winnipeg is minus 215. Minus 1.5 for the Jets is plus 112. Plus 1.5 for the Hockey Club is minus 150. The over 5.5 minus 114, and the under is minus 106. What do you got here?
Yeah, teams that just played recently in Utah came out on top 5-2 at home.
Yep.
This hockey club, who may stay the hockey club, that's another conversation, but apparently the Yeti trademark didn't go through. They've been better on the road this season. They've won 3 in a row. Their offense is kind of clicking right now. Defensively, they've held 3 straight teams to 2 or fewer goals. I know they played yesterday coming off a shutout win. This, generally speaking, this isn't a great spot for them, but I really like what they're doing. I'm going to roll the dice here. We're going to disagree again. But plus 190 odds I'm getting for the hockey club, and I'm going to take it. Money line, straight up.
How do you know we're going to disagree? How do you know that?
Jets.
Maybe I'll take the Blue Jackets. Maybe the Blue Jackets. What is with me in Columbus? I love that team. Apparently, yeah, no, you're right. I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets minus 1.5 at plus 122. This is the deal. Utah, they've been feisty. They've been winning lately. Good for them. Second half of a back-to-back. I know Minnesota to Winnipeg isn't the craziest travel, but it is back-to-back. Both games on the road. Winnipeg got trounced by this team 5-2. Their coach, Scott Ornell, called them out publicly and I'm assuming privately. The teammates called each other out publicly and I'm assuming privately. They bounced back with a great win against Colorado either the next night or the night after. And I just think this team remembers what happened on Monday. That 5-2 loss. I think it was on Monday, the 5-2 loss against Utah. And I think they come out and they, not a beatdown, but I do think they cover the -1.5 number. And I like the slight over. It's 5.5. I like a 4-2 game. And I mean, Winnipeg, we all know this team can put up 4 or 5 goals any night. I took the night off when they played Colorado, but I am right back on it again. Goals, Kyle Connor +110, Mark Scheifele +155, Gabriel Velarde. He's been cooking recently, +180. He's so hot that pucks are bouncing off his stomach and into the net. He doesn't even have to shoot the puck. They're just going off him and into the net. I like Gabe Velarde for +180 as well. When it comes to points, I am back on this train. Kyle Connor, +2 points, +148. Mark Scheifele +190 for 2 points. And 3 shots on goal, Mark Scheifele +126. 4+ shots on goal for Kyle Connor +148. So I'm all about that as well. With all this disagreeing, what are we going to do as a fan? What are we going to do for the best bet segment brought to you by First Round Collectibles? Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off of regular price items and sales items as well. That means up to 60% off selected cards in the First Round Collectibles store. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. We're also brought to you by Total Apex Sports. Really stoked to continue to be on their Twitter page live. Go check out lots of football content, basketball content, baseball content, whatever you want. They got it over there, totalapexsports.com. Andre, lots of disagreeing between the two of us today. What are we going to do? What's your bet for best bets? Brought to you by Collectibles.
Yeah. So I know we agreed on one thing, so I'm not going to take that. Even though that's a very scary thing to make a family play. I'm going to take, can't be the Islanders. It's got to be the Stars Golden Knights over 5.5.
All right.
That's what it's got to be, almost by default. I don't know. You just look at what Vegas is doing, especially their past, I'll just say 2025. Or not 2025. I'll say their last 5 games. 4-2 yesterday, 5-4 the game before that, 3-5 the game before that, 3-2, rare win for the under, and then 5-3 in Nashville. So a lot of high-scoring games for the Golden Knights lately. A lot of rough defensive performances. They allowed 5 goals in 3 of those games. So I expect the Stars to score plenty. Vegas will have enough. I think this one sneaks over 5.5.
All right. Absolutely love it. I just want to look up something here before I say my piece. All right, Mark Scheifele, because, we disagreed on most of our plays tonight, so we got to save the one that we agreed on for our family play. I will say, whether you think Utah's going to win or not, this is where I'm coming from with Mark Scheifele of the Winnipeg Jets. In his last 5 games, 2 goals, 4 points, 3 shots on goal the other night, 2 shots the game before that, 7 shots the game before that, 2 shots, and then 3 shots. He's been 3 shots or more. Well, exactly 3 in 2 of his last 5. 3 or more in 3 of his last 5. And the 2 games where he was not at 3 shots, he was at 2 shots. So he's putting shots on the net. And I like him tonight for 3+ shots on goal at plus 126. I will just give an honorary shout out. Not a part of the best bets, but I will give this shout out on FanDuel. Our guy, the Futon Bets, shouting out Rope Hints minus 178 for 2+ shots on net on FanDuel. All right, bro. Family play. We all know what's coming. Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 minus 124. On FanDuel, over 5.5 at Vegas Dallas minus 128. Mark Scheifele 3+ shots on goal plus 126. Blackhawks plus 1.5 minus 124. We have FanDuel has plus 627. The parlay for tonight. What do you got?
It's FanDuel Friday because I have plus 612.
Okay. Bounce back. We bounce back.
The week.
That's how we finished the week strong over on FanDuel. Everybody, actually, really quickly. I know you got to run, and I got to run, and my kid's walking around with blue all over his face. I got to clean that up. But football's back. Playoffs. Buffalo Bills in Kansas City, Washington Commanders in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. What do you got, bro? Tell me what you got.
Yeah, so I actually made just a minor mini 2-leg parlay today.
Love it.
Off Saquon Barkley, 150+ rushing yards. I'm pulling up the odds right now, plus 181 right now on FanDuel. Listen, they're not that team name anymore. The Commanders, their run defense is really rough. Even though they're winning, yes, they allowed the 3rd most rushing yards this season. They allowed the 5th most yards per carry. Detroit last week, Jahmyr Gibbs only had 14 carries. He had 105 yards. It's 7.5 yards per carry. Saquon Barkley is going to get the ball more than 14 times. He's going to get more than 14 handoffs. Let's just be honest right now. One of the best backs in the league. I know you probably think I hate him because he left. I really don't. I'm actually happy he's succeeding. I just wish it was with any other team besides maybe Dallas. So my guy, Saquon Barkley, 150+ rushing yards. He did it to him the last time these teams met. And he had 146 in the first meeting. So I'm expecting big things from Saquon Barkley, regardless of if they win or lose. The other game, I had Bills money line. They were my Super Bowl pick before the season started.
Love it.
Of course I have the Bills money line. But no, in all seriousness, I know the Chiefs, they won back-to-back. This Bills team, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Major reason outside of fantastic quarterback play. They just dominate the turnover battle every single week. They had the best turnover differential in the league by far, plus 24. The second best was Pittsburgh at plus 16. They were second, or I guess they were third technically in takeaways, but the second most, 2 teams tied with 33. They had the fewest giveaways. Their ball security was excellent. I think Josh Allen was responsible for 5 or 6 of those too. The former turnover machine. So I trust, turnovers make so much difference in football, but especially in the playoffs, there's such momentum swingers. And Buffalo's been dominating that. It leads to success. That is a stat that directly correlates to success constantly. They're not scared of the Chiefs. They beat them already this year. They've beat them in years past. Not in the playoffs, but there's a first time for everything. Peyton eventually got over Tom. Patrick eventually got over. I guess he didn't get over Tom. That's not the point. The point being, eventually you get over the hump. They're going to get over the hump. Give me the Bills money line.
Yeah, so I do think the Eagles, my team, my birds, I do think that they're going to win this game. What's the do you have it in front of you? What's the spread at now? Is it still 6.5 or 5.5?
I have it at -6 right now. The Eagles are
-6. Yeah, I like the Commanders. I wish actually, I'm not going to say it. I like the Commanders +6. I think this is going to be a close game. I'm everyone's just kind of, at least everyone that I've talked to has just been kind of saying that the Eagles are just an automatic ticket, and I just don't feel that way. Division game, they've already played twice this year. They split every year. Washington always plays Philadelphia hard. That's just the way it goes. Now, what's interesting is, if memory serves correctly, the first matchup early this year, Jaden Daniels got hurt in the game. The second matchup, Jalen Hurts got hurt in the game. So we literally haven't seen these two teams start and finish with the same quarterback. It's always been somebody getting hurt. So that's going to be really interesting. And Jaden Daniels right now, man, as much as Saquon Barkley is a video game for the Eagles, the same can be said, maybe not to the same extent, but the same could be said for Jaden Daniels. The Eagles, Vic Fangio, he's known for this. He does this thing that drives me insane when the Eagles have a lead. He just goes ultra prevent defense like super early and just always allows a garbage time touchdown, and it drives me nuts. But I think that's going to happen again on Sunday. And listen, I got a lot of Bills fans in my life. A lot of them are obnoxious. And if the Bills go to the Super Bowl, if they win the Super Bowl especially, I'll probably have to leave the country. But if they win the Super Bowl, it's just going to be unbearable for me. So I'm picking the Chiefs. And I just think Patrick Mahomes' time is just not done yet, man. I just can't bet against that guy winning. And I think he is going to win again on Sunday. And listen, Travis Kelce, if you know football, you should have seen this coming. He's at the point in his career now where he just sleepwalks through the regular season and is like the Undertaker come playoff time, just rises from the dead and takes care of business. That's just what he is. So I'm taking KC and I'm taking the Eagles for a Super Bowl rematch where the Eagles probably lose again, if I'm being honest, but I'm going to save that for another day.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, I know you can. You can. Everybody hanging out and watching, we appreciate you all very, very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Shout out to TotalApexSports.com. Thank you for having us over there. Lots of great football content, basketball content, baseball content. They got other websites too. They got stuff talking about relationships and horoscopes and gaming, entertainment. They got it all over there. TotalApexSports.com, and check out their other websites as well. First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off your order. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.